welcome back to another video. Today I just want to talk to you about the comparison of seeing an online vet versus being seen in person, face to face, hands on. So as you can see, our guinea pig, no pun intended, is Lucy. She is our most recent medical piggy, as you might know. Now, when Bruno was sick and we went to an in-person vet.
Having some discharge for a while, maybe?
Yeah, I tried the terramycin that I have at home for about a week, twice a day.
Okay.
But after a week, I'm not seeing much improvement, so I'm like, okay, it's time to go to the vet.
Is he rubbing it or squinting, anything like that?
He rubs it a little bit, but not really too much. But it was also the skin tissue at the bottom of the eyelid and the corner of the eye that, like the one on the part at the bottom of the eyelid, he's had for quite a while. But that part wasn't bothering him.
Okay.
But it's only recently it's gotten increased in size.
Okay.
And then for a while he had a little bit on the top lid, but that seems to have disappeared.
Good. Okay. My baby, I know.
And the other eye is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
None of the other guinea pigs have any issues.
Okay.
There's 14 of them.
14? Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's got one cage mate, obviously a male, because he's not neuter.
Oh.
And I have 12 girls, but they're in a separate room completely.
Okay. Nice. Oh. So yeah, what I would suggest this is an antibiotic that we often use in guinea pigs or pocket pets in general. Probably a bit stronger than what you're using right now.
Okay.
I would say that we start with this and then see what that gives us in about 2 weeks' time. If you're comfortable with that.
Okay.
I'll just check you over otherwise. Such a cutie.
Here, I'll back to you.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, you eat that, no one else.
Oh, I'm not having to listen to you. You're so cute. You're very cute.
And I came in here thinking worst case scenario of surgeries and all that stuff.
Hopefully we don't come to that.
I'm hoping not. So the tissue that's at the bottom of the eyelid, like, what would that be?
The pink tissue is the conjunctiva.
Okay.
So like when you pull down, you shouldn't normally see it, but because the eye's so irritated, it's just really swollen up.
Okay, so would this be like considered conjunctivitis?
That's kind of essentially what we're treating for as a first line. If there's no improvement within 2 weeks, then I think we should do a little bit further testing. We'll make sure there's not an ulcer. We check to make sure it's not dry eye that is producing enough tears.
Okay.
I just want to flush the eye and have a better peek. Do we have eye flush in here, Jordan?
It should be in the drawer somewhere. Is that not everything? See?
Let's see.
You're being such a good boy, Bruno.
Is this what Bruno? That's what we're using now or not? A little bit, okay.
You've had him since he was little?
I've had him for a little over 2 years now.
Okay. Oh,
And pretty much all of my guinea pigs, or I'll say 12 out of the 14, are all like unwanted guinea pigs, or him and his original brother that he had, they were advertised as snake food on Kijiji. So when I saw that, I'm like, nope, I'm not letting that happen.
Take them all. We're just gonna flush your little eyes.
And see, that's the funny thing is because space-wise in the home, I have plenty of space to take in more.
Okay.
But the financial aspect, so
They're not cheap, eh?
I've set my capacity at 14.
Oh, well, I think that's doing more than your share.
So that is, okay, that's an eye wash. Is this something that you can get like over the counter?
I think you should be able to get that at a pharmacy, and I just did it just to flush the gum out so I could have a better look at the eye.
Okay. So would something like this be similar to saline solution that they use at hospitals, or is it completely different?
Check. It's a little different just because this is an actual
eyewash.
But
Okay.
I think you can buy these over the counter.
That's going to be on the list of things to get then.
Okay.
I wonder, you could probably get something like that at a pharmacy, like an eye flush.
Okay. It was very easy to have the vet detect what was wrong with him because they were able to physically have him in view. They were able to, look at his eyes, look at his ears, listen to his heartbeat, and so forth. Now, for Bruno, thankfully, it was conjunctivitis, which I kind of already had a hunch on. But with Lucy, her symptoms are a lot more complicated because there are many illnesses that can mimic the exact symptoms that she's been experiencing. And from experience, I know with a previous guinea pig of mine, Jane, who had heart disease, we didn't know for a fact that it was heart disease or a URI. Unfortunately for Jane, she had both, and she didn't make it regardless. But with Lucy, what indicated the possible URI or pneumonia requiring antibiotics is the fact that she had some crusty eyes along with the labored breathing. Now, with the labored breathing, if you look very carefully at her, you can see that it is labored breathing. Now, thankfully, she has improved a lot since we spoke to the vet from Vetster, but she is nowhere near out of the woods. We are still waiting on antibiotics. I ordered a nebulizer for her, and that's not going to get here until the 14th, which is still another full week away. Now, what I have been doing at home for her, I've been syringe feeding critical care to her, but because she is eating on her own still, I'm trying to encourage that, so I have reduced the amount of critical care feeds that I give her, but twice a day, I've been placing her in this bucket right here with some hay, and I place it on my bathroom counter, and I run a hot shower just to kind of get that steam to hopefully help loosen any mucus that might be inside of her body or chest. And it seems to be helping, but I'm not the professional. I just know based on what I'm physically seeing with her that there is improvements. But I'm not saying that you should never go through an online vet, but what I am saying is that nothing compares to being able to physically speak with the vet in front of you, having them be able to, physically look over your pet, in this case my guinea pig. Now at the same time, an in-person vet would also be able to do an x-ray, and an x-ray will be able to show you the inside of their body. You'd be able to see if they might have a stone, or if their kidneys are okay, and there's just so many things that you'd be able to tell with an x-ray that you cannot necessarily physically see on the outside. So I just want to talk to you about my experiences when I had to see an in-person vet versus my experience with the online vet. Now, while I did have great service and great interaction with the online vet, the downfall is if you don't live in an area where there is a pet pharmacy, then obtaining the medication that might be required can be a lot more difficult and challenging. So, for example, for Lucy's medication, the pet pharmacy is located 5 hours away from me. And while it's not hard to order it, the cost of the medication was very affordable. It was only $20 Canadian. But the cost of having it shipped out by Purolator cost an additional $70. Now, I'm not complaining about the cost in the sense of saying it's not worth it, because she's worth every penny I have. I would never regret that. But what I am indicating is the fact that if I was able to have gone to an in-person vet for Lucy, I would have had the medication that same very day. And then we would have already been halfway through her course of treatment, or almost halfway through. But instead, she is slowly suffering while waiting, and that is not fair to her. And that's where I do have some slight, not regrets, but wishes that things were different. So while it is convenient to have Vetster service available so you can talk to a professional, it's very, very, very important to remember that an online video call is definitely not a replacement for seeing an in-person vet, depending on the circumstance and the situation. If you are just looking for advice, how much should I feed my guinea pig, or what foods should I feed? Or, if it's something like maybe just an eye infection that isn't, necessarily life-threatening, then that service is very, very worthy. And I get it. Not everyone has an exotics vet near where they live. Not everyone can get to a vet or can afford a vet. And through Vetster, they do have an affordable program. It's either, I'm talking prices for Canadian costs, so it might be different depending on where you live. But for me, it's either $55 for a single visit, or you can sign up for an annual cost of $135, and that allows 4 video calls with a vet for any of your pets. So for me, I had 13 guinea pigs, so that option made a lot more sense to me. But again, it really just depends on the circumstance and the situation at hand with your pet. If you're experiencing something life-threatening, please do not rely on Vetster to help your pet, because by the time you get the medication or something, God forbid, something bad might happen. We don't know. We're praying not. But if it's just for small things, non-life-threatening, then it's definitely worth it to have a professional on standby. Now, Lucy just finished having her, what I call a steam bath. So I brought her into the washroom. She was in the tub with some hay. And I took my shower. So I let her have the steam vapors, and hopefully that will help her. She had that earlier today as well. And I gave her a little bit of baby gas drops just in case she's feeling any bloat of any kind. Here, you want some of your hay? Here, let's put that right here for you. You can have some of your hay, baby. No, she wants to, run off. Just a few more minutes, sweetheart. So, in conclusion, please keep in mind that seeking an online vet is not a replacement. And it's much like relying on a Facebook group to give you medical advice. It's armchair medical advice. The difference is that with an online vet, you're talking to a professional. That is about the only difference that I can compare to. But Lucy and I want to say thank you so much for listening to us, and I hope you will take all this information into consideration before contacting an online vet or an in-person vet. It's something really to consider of, like what you can do. Now, if you're in a situation where you don't have access to a vet, you don't have transportation or anything, then seeking advice through a professional vet on Vetster would be the next best option. But just remember that there's a lot of things that a video call cannot detect. For example, with Lucy, the prognosis that the vet told us is that based on the symptoms I described, it sounds like it could be a URI. So we're going to try the antibiotics. However, because heart disease also mimics the symptoms of a URI, he recommended that if there is no improvement with the antibiotics within 24 to 48 hours, that we do seek an in-person evaluation. So there is our downside to our experience, is because it's taking so long for us to obtain the antibiotics, and then until the nebulizer gets here, that makes it even longer. So at this point, all we can do is pray for Lucy. But in a general circumstance, you can potentially pay for a single visit through Vetster, and they might still tell you there's nothing they can do. You have to seek an in-person vet for a proper evaluation. And depending on the circumstance and who you are, it might then feel like you just wasted money, because $55 for a single visit could have paid for like half the cost of, or nearly half the cost of an in-person vet visit. It really just depends. So when you're considering whether you should seek an in-person vet or talk to a vet online through Vetster because you can't get to a vet or any of that, it's just important to know that it might cost you twice as much because of having to get medication shipped if medication is required, or it might cost you twice as much because you might still have to see an in-person vet. There's so many things to consider. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and we will see you all in the next video. Bye!